Hello, everyone. I'm Christina. I know I'm a couple of minutes late, but here we are. And nobody's here just yet, but that's okay. I know some people will eventually stop by. Probably won't be too long. But we're going to take a look at how the holidays are looking. I don't know how they feel for you, but I'm not really seeing a whole lot of lights out. I'm not seeing like a lot of the usual buying and Christmas cheer that we usually see because usually there'd be a lot going on, right? The Thanksgiving Day commercials with the pumpkin pies and family commercials of everybody gathering around the table. You'd already have seen Christmas trees being lit up. By now we would. And commercials about Santa Claus coming to town. Snow, right? Now those days for us are long gone. Okay. Instead, we are looking at more, instead of like the 12 days of Christmas, we're looking at 12 monkeys. If you've ever seen that movie, Bruce Willis, and, he sent back in time to find out how the world was wiped out by this virus that was let off in these different countries. Kind of feels a little bit of foreshadowing there. Hello, Christy, and hello, the Watchmen. It's very good to see you here. Thank you, everyone that's already here. Don't forget to like. And if you're new, subscribe. Don't forget to share whenever possible to your social media. That really helps me a lot. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into a little bit of the news that we're dealing with. First, I wanted to say that they have at-home COVID testing kits available now because I don't think they believe that the testing is going fast enough. So they want to kind of close that gap in, so now they're just going to send it right to your home. And people are just lining up for the test nationwide. They're just lining up for it. Now, I think y'all might already get by now that I'm pretty suspicious of all this. Just smells like a rat. You know what I mean? CBS reports patients are having to be sent to other parts of the state. At least 37 other states have imposed new measures. So we got less civil liberties now. They're just like like boa constrictor, just slowly squeezing it out of you. Suddenly, okay, yes. Last time I was on, I was telling you that El Paso had pretty much beat the court and said that they weren't going to be complying with this whole shutdown thing. And suddenly, like the next day, there was a surge in cases. And I'm like, did they just like spray out there because they wouldn't do it? I mean, I know it's, you know, probably not what happened, but it just kind of looked that way. Oh, you want to protest this, huh? Well, we'll just make sure you get it, make an example out of you. Anyway, they were talking about how they had 1,000 cases suddenly the next day and 13 deaths. Texas has reported almost 12,000 new cases recently, a new record. That's what they were saying a couple of days ago. Stores that are closed for Thanksgiving, there was like an actual list that was put out because, so if you've got any shopping to do with whatever's left on the shelf, you might want to know which ones are open and which ones are closed. Open: CVS Pharmacy, Rite Aid, Walgreens, Family Dollar, Big Lots, Whole Foods, Dollar General, Bass Pro Shops, and Cabela's will be open. Places that are closed: Walmart, Target, Kohl's, Macy's, Best Buy, GameStop, JCPenney, the Home Depot, Lowe's, Costco, and Sam's Club. So pretty much the biggest ones are going to be closed. Only little bitty things are going to be open on Thanksgiving 2020. All right. See how we're doing into the comments super fast. Okay, we've got Tammy Porter. I'm so glad to see you, girl. Glad you made it. Team Jesus Christ. Hi, how are you doing? Um, Businesses are being fined thousands of dollars on in Spokane, Washington. $9,000 at a kids trampoline business told to close and pay a fine. How does that work? How are they even supposed to stay in business? That's crazy. Hello, Trent. Good to see you. I want to be safe, but I'm not happy about my freedom being stolen. I know, I know. Everybody wants to be safe, right? But um, it doesn't look like we're safe either way. I mean, to a point, some of us might be brave enough to take our chances. You know, nurses do it every day. Doctors, all right. Rogue Christian, hello. I promise I will be back and watch your video. Well, that'll be great. Be great. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think anybody, Christy, can really afford a lot. But, I've been thinking, there are ways that we can kind of make this holiday season feel a little bit better for everyone in the sense that, we can go ahead and light those candles, that smell like cinnamon or coffee or, just something. And, others have listened to some Christmas music, others are going to church and we're praying, but there are ways to honor God in this time, even if it isn't in the same way. We can still try to have that sense of praise and that that sense that we get this time of year. It's still in us. We just have to paint our surroundings, so to speak, right? Because I mean, I've been kind of wanting. I've really been doing that, to be honest with you. That we should still do what we can to make this time as merry as possible, you know? Black Friday is only going to feed China more and they are ready to come in. Yeah, I've been waiting on that ever since I had those visions, and I've been seeing them just get closer and closer to our borders. That's for sure. Getting a whole bunch of stuff we don't need. I hope it's survival stuff, you know? Uh, yes, we can still rejoice. If the first lockdown worked, then why do we need a second one? And if the first one lockdown didn't work, then why would the second? See, it's not about whether it worked or not in the sense that most people understand it. They wanted to see how well we would obey and where they might need to tighten up some places. That's what I think. I think that, because, we opened up just long enough for people to get the idea, okay, we should stock now, you know. But we also knew it was going to happen again. Now, how did we even know that was going to happen? Because they kept telling us it was going to happen, just like they're telling us another lockdown is going to happen, but this one's going to be longer. It's going to be harder. So, what they're really doing is they're giving us practice. They're getting us used to it little by little to being locked down. That's what I think. Why? I think the reason's bigger than what we understand right now, to be honest with you. I think so much is coming upon the earth there that must have a big part of why this is going on. Thank you for all the likes, everyone. I'm loving the conversation. I do have some more things to go over. I'm sorry, I'm just enjoying. What are the visions? What are the visions? Oh, the visions of the Russian invasion that I had a few years ago. Well, I mean, I told y'all about them in my earliest, like my first videos 5 years ago. You'd have to go all the way back. But I had the visions about 19 years ago. It caused me to. Anyway, don't worry about that. But you can find the vision. Doctors still do not know. Okay, homeless camps are miles long now on the I-5 corridor from California to Washington. They're getting worse. Well, imagine they would, but that's really scary because, I think it's going to get worse, to be honest. And I had actually written something about that down. I'll go ahead and keep going for that matter. Dabu just reported within the last hour, I think, that massive food lines begin to form across America. He's showing economic crisis is far from over and stores are limiting items. Now, all of this is true. We've all been kind of seeing this anyway in certain areas on the news, in our own stores. But let me just point out once again, it's just so weird. Dana had been talking about in December and January there would be food lines. But, and they're already starting. But it is the end of November. It is the end of November. So he saw December and he said, so this isn't going to go away. This isn't a one-time thing for Thanksgiving. This is going to keep happening. This is going to keep getting worse and worse. So if you haven't planted something by now, figured out how to plant winter crops or do indoor gardening, this might be the time to do a crash course, right? Right, quick and in a hurry. All right. If you make purchases, it'd be best to make sure that it's life or death kind of need, something you need, not something you want. Okay. We don't have time for things that are going to hold us down in this world. I mean, if we're meant to survive, that's what we need. And I tell you what, a 40-inch TV is not going to be that thing that helps you survive. Fishing gear might, though. You know what I'm saying? Think smart. Think smart. Okay. Oh, yeah. But there is some pushback that is starting to happen across the world. They mentioned a second lockdown in the UK is an unmitigated disaster. I'm telling you, this is the name of the video I saw. And I don't know if it was news. It was definitely a news thing. But I don't know if I saw it on YouTube or actually in the news. But UK, they are flipping out. They're calling it psycho. They don't want to take it anymore. Same thing is going on in Wales. They're calling it, the lockdown in Wales is psychotic and absolutely deranged, quote unquote. So epic. New York sheriffs refuse to enforce Governor Cuomo's dictatorial Thanksgiving orders. I watched that. The sheriff said that he doesn't really have the constitutional right or the ability to go around knocking on everybody's door to see if there are 10 people or more, you know. Israel also is protesting the lockdown. So this isn't just starting from El Paso. This is starting to go worldwide, where people realize, we just we can't keep this up. Let me see. Okay, yeah. I think more people are becoming aware of how close to the breaking point, the tipping point that we're really getting to. Okay, it really is do or die. It's not really a threat of, we can take our odds with the COVID, but we know for a fact that we cannot keep this up economically. And let me tell you, already many evictions may happen when certain acts expire on January 1st as it is. So you want to talk about the homeless rate, and the food line's definitely getting longer then. You got to remember the CARES Act, that those certain acts, they only went to a certain time. And then after that, we don't know what's going to happen to all kinds of people. All right. Over a potential virus that we might or might not get now. They're starting to send out more fear, saying, in some places they're starting to hint that other viruses may be coming our way. Now, I'd warned you about that before. I said, this magnetic issue, this magnetosphere issue we're having around Earth, that there are going to be viruses that mutate, that are going to come back, things we haven't seen or didn't even know existed anymore, okay? And that the viruses we have will mutate into superbugs, okay? We knew this was coming anyway, man-made or not, we knew this was coming. That's just part of prophecy. That's the third horseman, if I'm not mistaken, because death and hell follows closely behind, So we're, with more homelessness comes more disease and possibly lice, okay? And if you can imagine that if you've got more and more families that are homeless, you're going to see less children in the schools, right? And the funding usually goes to school by how many kids attend. Now, if the school isn't getting funding, then guess what? The schools get shut down, right? And already I'm seeing bank after bank still every week being shut down. And I know that some of you might be still seeing that in the news or in your area too. Okay. But basically what's going on now is that it's just gotten so bad that they're criminalizing lots of good people. And that kind of goes with the rise in persecution in the last days that we knew would be happening, And it does still remind me also of like Minority Report, how just how technical everything, at least the direction that everything is going. That's what Minority Report reminds me of. But 12 Monkeys seems to be kind of like what we're going through. But even in that movie, who they thought started it wasn't. It was somebody else, that while they were looking one way, it was really going this way. There's a lot of confusion going on, and that's the way a lot of us feel right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the comments super fast. We got Stop Gang Stock in Oklahoma. Y'all want to know who's financing CARES Act? That would be cool to know. Eventually I'm going to have to make a couple of you guys moderators. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. Okay. Maybe powers to be don't want money going to schools. I think that's pretty much it. Is the whole system is being reset. Really, they talk about the Great Reset all the time, but seriously, that is what's going down. They're gonna shut down everything and then reopen everything a different way and under a different set of rules where we don't have the rights that we had, and by then we should be conditioned to it. Okay, yeah, things are going to get worse. But what's happening here, this imprisonment of us, this containment, it's very disturbing. I want to thank all 21 of you that are here, all 10 thumbs up. I love having all of your comments. And I want to thank Off Grid Desert Farming with Paul and Adrian too for sharing my video. And I always ask that you guys do that. That really helps a lot. It really does. Hello, Jeff Jacobs. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like, well, the oceans are dying a lot because of the heat that's underneath us. The temperature's just not right. And it's not just the coral. If you think about the deepest parts of the ocean, there's critters down there that are perfect for those depths and those conditions, right? Well, they've been coming up to the surface dead too. So there's some kind of heat that is sucking the oxygen out of the lower parts, and it's heating up the ocean floors. And if you look even on land, we're having these huge rifts, troubles along the fault lines, all around Mount St. Helens, the Cascadia area, all those mountains, they're all filling up with magma, so we're under an incredible amount of pressure. So of course the coral reefs would be dying and the bugs would be acting up and the birds would be dropping out of the sky because it's all connected. It really is. Okay. I think that to a degree, this was planned by man, but I think it was planned because they also knew partially supernaturally and also with their scientists, they could tell when these things would be approaching the earth. And I know by the 80s, they knew about this binary solar system that we're connected to. They knew, but they chose not to tell anybody. And anybody who tried to speak up, they go, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. This is crazy gooks trying to talk. Don't listen to them, right? While they start building their bunkers, right? But I don't know if a whole lot of people made that connection. Because instead it was like, oh, you crazy preppers and whatever, what was it? Doomsday preppers kind of thing. I did not pay my tabs because I want them to stop me so I can say I will not fund a government who's terrorized. Okay. That's one way. I checked in the Archway of Baal replica in New York. This is a place where they would do children's sacrifices in biblical time. Wow, how wonderful. You can go visit it and don't forget to bring the kids. Yeah, I think I won't bring the kids. Yeah, that's why I'm glad my kids are getting older now so I don't have to worry so much about them. They're pretty smart. New York is definitely going to get the wrath of God. I've been hearing about that in prophecy for a long time. Yep. Oh, and going to this, the elections, there's been a lot of talk, and we know that they're fighting pretty hard to see who really pans out. We're patiently waiting to see how it actually turns out, but we knew it would take time to count these votes. That was also something we discussed in previous videos. Y'all might be remembering, and that's exactly what's happening. But we we couldn't have had a more exciting end to the 2020 year. I mean, okay, so Uh, this is where we are. This is we're gonna there. It seems like there's this kind of pushback now starting to happen worldwide against a lot of these lockdowns and what it's doing to our families, especially when we start losing our homes. And if you don't think January 1st is gonna really be a part of that beginning, why January shouldn't be an explosion of long food lines and homelessness. That would be a time that I'd be looking for. I don't think January 1st might be so happy of a new year for a lot of folks this time around. But we did take a look. Oh yeah, Mike did report that botulism is being found in some pumpkin pies. It's pretty gross. We keep hearing about the lettuces having E. coli in it. Um, we also know that salaries are going down while food prices are continuing to go up. And I don't know about y'all, but I've been seeing bare spots appearing on shelves in the stores. One of my saddest bare spots I'm having harder and harder time finding is my Coca-Cola. And I don't want to hear how bad it is for you. I love Coca-Cola. It's my favorite soda water. And I'm just always having harder and harder time finding it, even in the fountain drinks. But that's just, that's a major company, and we're seeing these bare spots around. Okay. The question is, how much longer can we take this? Okay. Yeah, of course, everybody's getting clogged up. I mean, I can't imagine how hard it'll be to get tax, title, and license for anything right now. Or, but I bet those evictions will come through because that's been building for a while. Okay, unless something changes, unless something happens to protect the banks and the mortgage people that have that and the tenants equally, then I don't see how this is going to work at all. I really don't. Yeah, we can't take this. That's right, Trent. That's absolutely right. Yeah, yeah, we have so many nasty statues that got put up. I mean, some things that are around that a lot of people don't realize. We shouldn't have that. Yeah, I've been hearing. Yeah, I've been hearing about Japan too. All right. I know that it's not always popular with a lot of you, but I didn't end up doing cliff notes for the entire Mike from Around the World interview, but I did pull out um, some of the more interesting things that were said. If you want to go back and look at their video, you're more than welcome to, but I wanted to make a few comments on some of the things that were said. And right off the bat, they started talking about the UN World Food Agency says that in 2021, there will be a worldwide famine due to extremes of nature. What do you see, Mike, for 2021? Mike says the world famine has already begun about 6 years ago. The reproduction cycle of animals has slowed down. Plant burgers were indications, and now they are finally telling people that we are out of foreseeable resources. This coming year should be twice as bad, will be a doozy. Paul says bad winter. Mike says, oh yeah. The entire northern hemisphere is heating up and cooling down at the same time. Plants can't keep up with that, and they're budding out of season. And I can see that happening. Then they moved on to meteorites. Now, believe me, a lot of chit-chatting happened in between this, okay? But I'm just letting you know, basically, what I thought was interesting, okay? So they moved on to meteorites. Mike said we can expect meteorites, meteor storms to start happening and to grow at least 200% in the coming years. So we will begin to experience these meteor storms. Fires will be outrageous. And they start talking about how certain trees, when they're burned, let off toxic fumes that can make you vomit or even die. And he said there are quite a bit of those in North America, the Rockies, and all over the place. And there are similar plants that are like that, okay, when they are burned. And there's a list you can find on that if you definitely want to check that out. They start talking about deadly space dust. What is this? And Mike was saying that we have compound problems now. And I know what he's talking about. It's not just one thing like space dust. We've got volcanic ash that's in our future. And we're at the door of these things, is what he says. And because a lot of people needed proof that they weren't really aware, they really didn't believe or prepare that these things could happen. But propaganda at the same time was being used to keep the people calm. But now, like with the pushback I was talking about, he's saying that people are starting to have mental breakdowns. Okay. And we knew this was going to happen because people can't stay locked up forever. It's not good for our mental stability. It's not good for us. And I think they know that. Isolation is a torture technique, and it does mess with you psychologically. Okay, but they moved on to viruses, and they mentioned Ebola, a new virus that is a pathogen that causes people to bleed to death in Bolivia. They're saying this new pathogen has come out that causes people to bleed to death in Bolivia. And I did not tell you, so I'm waiting for people to start talking. They're bleeding from the eyes. Nah, I don't know if that one's it, but it's supposed to be like part of the COVID thing, I thought. Mike says projects that took place in the final decades of the 20th century. That's what he started with, mentioning that there were projects that took place. Those who stayed, and they were talking about like when they were opening all these mummy sarcophagi. And I remember all these documentaries, and as they were happening while I was a kid and a teenager, that they kept opening these up. And we thought, yeah, you open it up, it's a curse. And that's what they're talking about. But what Mike is saying is that some of these sarcophagi weren't human. They were alien, that they let out this kind of, what did they call it? I guess dust or kind of agent that wasn't good. It was something that was toxic to humans that happens when they die, and that men have died opening these, and that really the pyramids in South America were the ones that we were supposed to look at, and that turmoil is always happening there. I thought that was a little odd of a topic. Just start randomly talking. You ask about viruses, and he's going on about South America and mummy sarcophagi. That was just a little odd. I guess maybe it has something to do with it, and he's trying to tell us. It just seemed really weird. But anyway, a virus escaped. He said, our happy world will not come back. We have to forge a future. He talks about prophecy. A virus escaped a hospital in Australia and breached the country 5 months ago. And I'm like, what? What? How come none of us heard about this? None of us. It just breached a hospital in Australia and the country 5 months ago. It's only a matter of time before it resurfaces. Hint, hint. Goes on talking about several viruses that caused rapid death. Again, if you want to go back and listen to this, you're more than welcome to. So Paul moves on to earthquakes. Mike says, not enough earthquakes to release the pressure. Earth is expanding. New fault lines forming in America. That's true. We don't even have enough volcanic eruptions to release the pressure. We know this. Is 2020 a year of world governance? Mike says we'll face the exact same issues. Lots of chit chat after that. He will be back in 2 weeks. And so in the meantime, we are looking to see how the elections turn out, which in my mind, I don't see how that's going to change our situation and for the better either way. I mean, it seems like America's completely in limbo right now. I know they call it the lame duck season, but this is really just the craziest lame duck season I've ever heard. And it's supposed to be the holiday season, right? That's the question. Who is going to be next in office? Everything is getting shut down. Okay, Trent says he has a question. If we social distance and wear masks, can that stop mosquitoes from spreading COVID? If not, then all of this is pointless. Well, that's true. That's true. That's absolutely true. I guess maybe I know mosquitoes aren't a big deal in the winter, and I know that's coming up, but that's still not the point. I guess you gotta watch. You know what? I bet lots of things can be spread through mosquitoes. All these viruses. That's sad. Man, I tell you what. They've got certain plants that keep mosquitoes away, and marigold flowers and sweet basil are two big ones you might want to have around your house if you want to keep mosquitoes at bay, and make sure you pour out standing water wherever you might see it on your property, especially after a rain, because they're going to be breeding in that. Good question, Trent. Good question. I do think it's, well, it's still a good question. I want to know about that too. I might look that up, see how that might affect, because I know that the COVID has been affecting the organs of people. It's really been leaving damage in other parts of the body. So I don't know. I don't know. 1 month counting votes. Yeah, I think they're even talking about a third audit or something. Hello, One Prophetic Touch Ministry. It's always good to hear from you. I think we're watching the ones in Chile because it should cause a chain reaction all the way up the West Coast up to Cascadia. That's the one we're watching for. Is something that happens in Chile along the West Coast of South America that starts traveling up, and then you'll start seeing problems in Los Angeles, I believe it is. Okay. All right. You think it'll happen next month? Yeah. Well, we're already seeing, I mean, talk about being in the future now. I heard about all this all my life. I mean, believe it or not, I was born in 1976. That's right, bicentennial baby. So we all knew this was coming. And so, just try to, what I was doing this afternoon and realizing the things that are coming upon us, I was able to get a burger tonight. And I was more thankful for that burger than I think I've ever been for any burger in my life, because I thought, man, this might be the last one. So I think if we can at least do anything, it's to really take time to appreciate the things that we've been blessed with. And I think that's also the point of Thanksgiving, is to remember what it is that you're still thankful for, because there is always something. Every day that we're alive, we have a chance to do something great, a random act of kindness, to forgive, and at least to be thankful. And so if there's nothing else we can do to try to stay positive this year, is learn to be thankful, and also always remember to hold on to Jesus, because he is our only hope, and we're not going to get through on our own strength. We're going to have to lean on him and truly trust in God. Okay, because getting angry at this point is really not going to help the situation. We're going to have to start thinking more with our hearts, and use our patience and use our maturity, and all these experiences, all these life experiences that you got through that were hard in your life. Well, that was practice and training for you now. You have skill sets that you didn't even realize you had. You're stronger than you really knew. Okay. You've been being prepared. All right. A lot of us. Okay. Yes. And we are too dependent on the government. But see, at this point, they're trying to make sure of it. They're trying to make sure of it. And that's why it's going to be important to keep spreading the news, to keep everyone informed. And I tell you, it is happening. People are starting to spread the word that they are not going to take this vaccine. They don't care. They do not care. They are not taking this vaccine. There are people pushing back and saying, no, we can't just we've got to open back some jobs up. We've got to go back to work. It's time for something to give in the direction of us. But I don't see that happening. I see that we're just tightly, more and more being squeezed. More and more we're getting used to circumstances that we shouldn't have to be. In fact, I talked to an old friend of mine tonight, known him for about 3 or 4 years, and he told me he lived in the woods for like 2 years, and he said it was the most peaceful he'd ever been in his entire life. And everybody's so afraid. Oh gosh, I mean, I'd be afraid too, because it's different. But when I saw the look of peace on his face, I thought, wow. I think I lost a lot of fear at that moment, and that's what we need to do, is just relax a little bit. Yes, all these things are going on in the world, but we don't have much control. All we can control is how we react. Okay? Yes, stay in the spirit of God. That's absolutely right. So, yeah, these food lines, they're going to get worse. Okay, the sicknesses, the restrictions, they should keep going. The rioting and protesting for any reason is going to keep happening, and it should continue into the next year. Now, what I'm going to be interested in watching is how bad, like someone just mentioned, how bad these earthquakes, exactly where these earthquakes happen, because that's when you know it's hitting the fan. That's when you know. I think Mount St. Helens, because I'd had that vision about Mount St. Helens, and I was looking over the valley and seeing all the other mountains. That whole area is in trouble, and I know that I need to be watching that personally. And they are reporting that there's a lot of magma infill in that area and a lot of instability along that Cascadia fault line. So we already know it's coming, but I'm telling you right there, when that happens, whew, I know that's that for me personally. It's a sign that it's happening. We're here. Okay. I hope that everybody's been stocking up. I really do. And if you have, try not to tell everybody, don't be telling people what you got. Just kind of start getting a little silent about that, but I feel sorry for everybody who didn't, because I know there were plenty who didn't listen. We knew they would come. I am starting a food ministry. I was given a tiny little food trailer, and I've just got to get some permits on it and get it out there, but it's going to be a food ministry. I think I'm going to call it the Miracle Kitchen. So, hey, sounds to me like the perfect time to get out there and get that word out, and there's always somebody hungry, whether it's in the spirit or in the flesh. But, you can teach a man to fish for himself, when you give him the word of God, you give people hope. And maybe, I don't know what God has intention. What else? I mean, I don't know what else could happen with that truck. Maybe something else, maybe it's trade. Maybe I get Bibles sent out. I don't know. But something good is going to come out of that trailer. You watch. All right. We are going to go ahead and finish this up in a second. Yeah. Okay. I think we've caught up pretty much on the chat. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here. And I'll be talking to you real soon. Just keep your chins up and just try to keep your hopes up for the holidays, because there's always hope. The only place there's no hope is in hell. It may look like it, but we still have a place we can make a difference, and it's going to have to start in here. All right. Happy holidays. I will talk to you in probably just a couple of days. Love y'all. Bye.